Good evening, sports fans. Welcome to the Sports Hounds, live exclusively here on A2DRadio.com. I'm, of course, Rob Brinkman. He's Brad Ryer, Frank Vesby behind the scenes, producing the show as he does each and every Monday. As always, the Sports Hounds here on A2D Radio are brought to you by Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, 3 convenient locations, Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton, New Jersey. He's A2D Radio's doctor. Make him yours, too. Also, check out our gutter guys at Ambuck Services. They are the gutter and deck experts of South Jersey. Give them a call at 856-879-5530. Tell them A2D Radio sent you. Get that friends and family discount. Sports Hound streaming live on Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. If you miss anything here on A2D Radio, download us, stream us in podcast form. Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes. The takeover is real. A2D Radio is everywhere. We just finished off a kick-ass month down in Ocean City, New Jersey at All Campus, teaming up with 97.3 ESPN Radio. A huge success for A2D Radio. Stay tuned to those social media accounts. Lots of big stuff's coming from what I hear from the powers that be here to A2D Radio. We got more people joining. We got big things coming. Also, check out PhillyDrinkers.com, the A2D Radio collection. We have the fall collection is up. Holiday season's right around the corner. Visit PhillyDrinkers.com. Get your friends and family. All your Christmas apparel, all your Christmas shopping should be done at Philly Drinkers from the A2D Radio collection. We got our poll question. We got Monday Night Football. We got MLB free agency. We got this stinky NFC East. And Brad, I got to say, can we stop with the NFC East games in prime time?
I was just going to say it's bad enough that as fans, we have to watch these games every week because we're fans of these teams. But I mean, why torture the whole country? I mean,
it's got to be over.
Yeah, I mean, now we have to see the Giants get killed by Tampa Bay tonight. It's enough already. They should really work out some of these games.
Look, and I get it. And like our poll question is centered around Monday Night Football. We're about halfway through the NFL football season where we talk about some contenders and pretenders. The comments are flying in. We don't have a show without you guys. We are for the fans, by the fans. We're going to get to as many comments as we can a little later on in the show. But, Brad, let's get to our poll questions. Like, at least tonight you have an NFC East team against a legitimate power in Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's not the Giants against the Washington football team or the Giants versus the Cowboys, which is just a disaster. And you're absolutely right. You hit the nail right on the head. The whole country shouldn't be subjected to this nonsense that's going on in the NFC East. I would be shocked if there's any NFC East games in prime time.
Definitely not on a Sunday night. Because Sunday night they can flex out on the Sunday night.
Well, you do what you do tonight on Monday Night Football. You put the Giants, who aren't a good team, against a powerhouse like Tom Brady, where you put the Eagles against the Saints or the Eagles against the Chiefs or, whatever. You don't put two bad teams. You put an NFC.
Well, sometimes you see these bad teams raise their level of play against the good teams. That can happen.
Which brings us to our poll question brought to you by Philly Drinkers, LLC. Like I said, PhillyDrinkers.com, A2D Radio Collection. The Giants at home tonight, taking on Tampa Bay and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady. They are a whopping 13-point home underdogs. I kind of like the big home dog number here. I realize that it's going to be a tall task. But, Brad, you were able to handicap the Chiefs-Jets spread in early leans last week, and you hit it right on the money with the Chiefs covering. What say you about your Giants and this whopping spread tonight?
Okay, here's what you have to know, okay? Do you think that the Giants are going to score 20 points tonight? If the answer is yes, then bet the Giants. If the answer is no, then bet the Bucs, because you can pretty much be assured that the Bucs are going to score probably between 30 and 35 points. So, are the Giants going to get the usual 17, which is what their magic number always seems to be? That's if you think that, then you take then you take the Bucks. And I think the Giants aren't scoring more than 17 points tonight. I don't think the Giants can hold the Bucks under 30. So I think the Bucks are going to cover the spread.
So it's in essence a 2-touchdown spread. Chris Godwin's going to be out for Tampa Bay. Mike Evans is banged up. Scotty Miller is banged up.
Doesn't matter.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have a fierce defense. But, Brad, I am going to take the Giants plus 13 tonight. I'm not putting –
I hope that the Giants give them one hell of a fight. And, maybe they can pull out a win. Who knows? I don't see it, but –
It's in no way an official Rob Brinkman play, but for the purposes of the poll questions, for fun here in our Monday Night Football live reaction, I will take the Giants plus 13. Here's why, Brad. You laid it out perfect. Do you think the Giants are going to score 20 points tonight? I think they do. The over-under is set at 47 points, Brad. It's not going to get the 47 points, I don't think, without the Giants getting to 17, 20, even 24 points. I know Tampa Bay has
47 could be 30 to 17, which would be a push.
That's a push. It's down to 12.5 in some spots, so just mind which book you have and what kind of number you're getting.
Right.
But I like the Giants here, plus 13. And here's another reason why. Who do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play next Sunday night?
Oh, they play the Saints next Sunday night. That's right.
Okay, could this possibly be a look-ahead game? Now, I don't think Tom Brady ultimately lets that happen. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the game. But I am going to go 30 to 20 Tampa Bay.
I hope the Giants give them that kind of a battle. I'm looking at 34-17 Tampa Bay.
17. So they're in the ballpark. They're in the mix both apart. One thing that concerns me about the Giants tonight is Tampa Bay has an excellent defense. Devontae Freeman is going to be inactive tonight. Who is going to run the ball for the Giants? Can Daniel Jones make enough plays against a elite Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense?
That's going to be Wayne Gallman. Wayne Gallman had a very good game last week against Philadelphia, and I would suspect that he will be in there tonight. Because obviously you're not going to have Freeman, you're not going to have Barkley, of course. So he is the number 3 running back. He's not bad. I mean, listen, is he Freeman? No, Freeman can do it all. He can catch the ball, he can run with force. But Gallman, it seemed like the more he was getting the ball, the better he was performing last week. And the Giants have shown over these last few weeks a willingness to run the football and be patient and continue to try to run the football. And, if they can run the ball and limit the number of possessions, that would be definitely to their advantage. And for the Giants to be in this game, they're going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to be able to control the ball. And if both teams, if it's an 8-possession game, meaning if the Giants get the ball 4 times in the first half and the Bucks get the ball 4 times in the first half, I think it could be a very close. It could be a close game. If it's going to be like a 12 to 13 possession game, Giants are going to get smoked because their defense can't stop them that many times.
Okay, here's a fantasy football question from Spidey Parker. He has Scotty Miller, Mike Evans, and Gronk on his fantasy team. Which 2 should he use?
Gronk. If the Giants take their tight ends to save their lives.
There you go. That's good insight right there. Gronk also looks like he's getting back into football shape. He had a good game had a good last 2 games. Obviously, the season-ending injury to O.J. Howard opened the door for him to get all the tight end staffs instead of being in a little bit of a timeshare there. And we all know the chemistry that he has with Tom Brady from all that time in New England. So Gronkowski, I think, is easy. And then I guess Mike Evans, even though Mike Evans didn't have a very good game, I think he had 1 catch last week against.
Well, last year, of course, if you
forget who they played last week, it's case my mind right now.
Mike Evans just killed the Giants last year in this game. Although in the second, this was the game where he had, I think, 3 touchdown catches in the first half and had like 150 yards, and then the Giants started double and triple teaming him in the second half, and they stopped them. But I mean, is Bradbury going to be able to keep him under control? That's That's going to be the main question. If Bradbury is guarding Gronk, excuse me, if he's going to be guarding Evans, who's going to be guarding Gronk, and who's going to be guarding Miller? I mean, that's the problem. I mean, they just don't have. The Giants just don't have enough right now, and they don't have enough to score. They don't score enough. That's going to be a big problem.
For what it's worth, Brad, I love the Giants' wardrobe choice tonight. I love the white. It's kind of like a mix between the throwback jerseys and a new.
No, that is the throwback jerseys, Rob. That's those are the jerseys from the '80s.
They are throwback jerseys.
Yeah, that's those are the 1980s jerseys.
That's a different shade of blue than the helmet was in the '80s, though, Brad. Am I wrong about that?
I actually have a helmet from the '80s. If you want,
go get it. Let's compare. We got 2 hours. We're hanging out.
Hang on.
Reach into the man cave.
All right, hang on a second here. All right.
Don't hurt yourself.
No, I'm good. Here is the. Now it's autographed, so understand. It's
we got Lawrence. Oh wow, a bunch of autographs. Let's see. I guess it is the same.
This is Let's see. Okay.
So it is the same. These are the '80s throwbacks.
Yeah, this is the '80s football.
Robert Corden, the Raiders played the Bucs last week. Thank you, Robert.
So yeah. So that would be the I got I must have like 30 signatures on there. So I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple of years ago they had a big sports card show in Atlantic City. I think they had the National, and the '86 Giants were there. So of course I brought the helmet over there and got as many signatures as I could, and it was that helmet is filled with a lot of real good players on that team.
Robert Corden a little darker in the. I thought they were a little darker. It looks about.
Yeah, it looks like. I mean, here one more look.
I like the Giants on the side spelled out in.
Yeah, that's the
giant capital, easy to read letters. It's simple. So,
yeah,
I think these teams just try too hard.
At the other side, you see like Bavaro and on top, but it's a little dark. I think it's a little darker, but yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like it's retro from. What they're doing is they kind of made it lighter blue, like they have now. Just because it looks probably better with the. I guess it pops a little more. Who the heck knows?
So I'm liking the Giants and the over. I believe DraftKings is running a special on the first touchdown tonight. First touchdown, I'll take Rob Gronkowski if you guys are into that. But another aspect to this game and why my over bet might be.
Oh, I would take Evans.
Might be supposed to be
the game last year, so I would take Evans.
It's supposed to be very windy tonight in the Meadowlands. It wasn't nice here all weekend. It's supposed to be windy tonight, so keep it up.
That would be an advantage. That would probably be an advantage for the Giants, I think, because you're taking the explosiveness out of Tampa Bay, which is probably a good thing.
But Tampa Bay, they're more than just Tom Brady, though. Ronald Jones is running the ball well. Leonard Fournette
have done a nice job against the run this year. I mean, really, to be quite honest, the Giants' defense has been pretty good this year. They definitely been better. They've been better defensively this year by leaps and bounds. The offense has just been horrendously bad this year, and most of the problem with the Giants has been Thomas. He just hasn't been good. I mean, the Giants were expecting, as the fourth pick in the draft, to be a very good at left tackle, and Thomas has been a flat out disaster so far. I mean, he's been worse than Eric Howard, and it's right now the Giants are going to put him out there come hell or high water, I guess. So, they're gonna do what they got to do.
Now, Daniel Jones, the quarterback, not really Mr. Popular right now in New York. He hasn't developed like I thought he would. I thought he looked better in his rookie year than he does this year. I've seen regression with Daniel Jones, not progression.
Oh, absolutely.
With
I will say this though, he's proven that he can run the football and he's really fast. I mean that we know he can do. I think part of the problem is they just don't. They don't have the receivers. I mean, Sterling Shepard's always hurt. Evan Ingram can't hang on to the ball. I mean, Evan Ingram's drop last week cost the Giants the football game
big time
against the Eagles because the Giants would have had that game won. I mean, it would have been 2.5 minutes. The Eagles would have had 2 timeouts, and the Giants would have been on the 20-yard line. So worst came to worst, the Giants would have certainly gotten a field goal. Had they run the ball into the line 3 times, they would have gotten a field goal, and the Eagles would have probably had like 30 seconds to try to move the ball to try to get a touchdown. So I mean that's the Giants lost by 1 point. So that's basically what it was. They would have been 9 points behind, and they would have if the Giants got the field goal, they would have been 9 points behind, and there would have been less than a minute to go in the game. I mean the Giants would have won the game. So right now, I think Evan Ingram is public enemy number 1 in New York right now.
Do you think there's a possibility he gets traded?
No, they keep saying no. So I mean, I'm guessing he probably won't. I don't know how much they're going to get for him. I mean, remember he was a first-round pick. I mean, the guy does have some ability. I don't think trading him now makes any sense. I just don't. He's not going to be a free agent. I mean, they have another year with him, so keep him for another year. If they can actually get good next year, then he could be a nice piece. But
are the Giants going to be dumping come tomorrow? There were a couple of trades today. The NFL, former All-Pro Desmond King goes from the Los Angeles Chargers to the Tennessee Titans, a move that was desperately needed by the Tennessee Titans. Their defense is stunk. Quan Alexander, puzzling, goes from the San Francisco 49ers to the New Orleans Saints. I'm not sure what went down behind the scenes in terms of that one. Quan Alexander, at least in the past, has been a very good football player. Are the Giants going to be active at the trade deadline?
They're probably, from what I've heard, they're not going to have a fire sale. So, I mean, the thing is, if you look at the veterans that they have on the team, I mean, most of their team's pretty young. So, I mean, are they going to trade? Are they going to trade one of their offensive linemen? I don't think that they're going to do that. I think they're going to keep everything as it is and play out the season. And probably if they don't show some signs of improvement, they'll fire Gettleman and they'll bring in a new general manager, and that could mean the end of Judge too. After 1 year, I mean, if you bring in a new coach, a new general manager, you have to probably get a new coach too. So.
Another aspect, the Tom Brady versus the New York Giants aspect. Historically, Tom Brady, he's kind of struggled with the New York Giants. I know they're different players. I know that it's a different team, not New England anymore. The Giants don't have Steve Spagnuolo in that NASCAR package.
They don't have Eli, and they don't have Eli either.
4-3, Tom Brady is in his last 7 games against the Giants. You look at some teams, some players just seem to have Tom Brady's number. Nick Foles in particular, the New York Giants, another one in particular. Could that play in tonight? That's another reason why I might kind of like the 13 points at home with the New York Giants. Now, these are
if it's really, really windy, Brady does not have the strongest arm anymore. That could play into that could play into it too, and that may take the vertical passing game away from the Buccaneers. So
I'm going to change my pick. I don't like the over anymore. I want to change. I want to take the under.
Well, I'm going to take the Giants and the points. You know what? I mean, thinking about it. I mean, it's windy as hell outside. It's cold as hell outside. I think the Giants will keep it close. I mean, they're not going to. I don't think they're going to win the game, but the Giants' defense has played well, and I got to give them credit where credit is due. They're going to keep it close, though. They're going to need some turnovers. And you know what? With the wind the way it's blowing tonight, maybe Brady and his arm strength, maybe there's going to be an issue there, and maybe he'll throw a pass and it'll get knocked down by the wind, and the Giants can pick it off. I mean, who knows? We'll see. going to be a tough. It's going to be a tough chore for the Giants.
So I like the Giants plus the 13. I'm going to change. I'm going to change from the over 47 I led the show with to my under 47, just because the wind and Tampa's got a good defense and the Giants have a good defense. Watch, now that I change, it's going to fly over. But then in terms of speaking of this NFC East, this trash hole division that the Giants and the Washington football team and the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles find themselves in, the Giants aren't out of this thing yet. They have if they can somehow, now you gotta win games, and this is unfortunate because the Giants kind of get screwed here playing a third place schedule. Like Tampa, everything changed when Tampa got Tom Brady. Like they're not the third best team.
It is what it is.
I mean, the Giants kind of got screwed there. They should be playing Carolina.
That's extremely bad luck, but it is what it is. I mean,
but it is what it is. But if the Giants can somehow get this thing done, Dallas is dead. The Washington.
I would agree with you. Well, Washington don't. I wouldn't count. I don't know what to think of them. I mean, when they're playing well, they just look tremendous. But I mean, we'll see. If they could,
the Giants do have a win at hand over the Washington football team.
Yes, they do. It's their only win.
They realistically should have a win at hand over the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, and they also should have won the Bear game, and they should have won the Ram game. I mean, listen, when it comes to the Giants, it seems like every week they invent a new way to lose. Last week was a drop pass. A couple of times Daniel Jones got the ball down to the 10-yard line and then couldn't finish the deal. Then another time, this was against the Cowboys. The Giants got the ball with under 2 minutes to go, and then they went 3 and out, and then Dallas goes the length of the field and kicks the winning field goal. And this was after the Giants defense made a stop so that the Giants could get the ball with all those timeouts. So as I said, they just every week it's a different annoying way to lose a game. I mean, even the Steeler game, they were in the game until the middle of the fourth quarter, then that game got away from them. But they only lost 26-16. It's not like they got slaughtered.
I want to dip into offensive coordinator Brad Ryer. If you were the offensive coordinator, if you were Jason Garrett or Joe Judge, whichever, I guess Jason Garrett is in charge of the development and coaching of Daniel Jones, how do you tap into Daniel Jones? How do you get the best out of Daniel Jones? What kind of plan would you have against an elite defense to kind of get Daniel Jones in some type of rhythm so you can maybe put some points on the board, take some pressure off your defense, and maybe shock the world tonight and win this football game?
I think they got to use him the way the Ravens use Lamar Jackson, to be quite honest with you. I think Jones is a terrific runner. I mean, and he's a very, very good athlete. I mean, he really is. I never realized what kind of an athlete he was, until really this season with his running. I mean, and he's tough. He can take a hit, and I'll give him that. He's gritty and he's tough. He can run the football with anybody, and if the Giants can not have to throw more than 25 times tonight, I kind of like them to make this a very, very tough game. But if they're throwing on every down, they have no chance because they're not going to be able to outgun this team, and they're not going to be able to go up and down the field with them. There's just no way. But as I said, the Giants can keep the ball on the ground, control the ground game, have Jones run some balls, have Jones do the option with Gorman, maybe some short passing to the tight end. They certainly have a chance to keep this game close, but they're going to have to play turnover-free football. I mean, that's going to be completely imperative for them to do that.
How many yards does Wayne Gallman have to have on the ground for an upset to be realistic for the Giants tonight? 100, 120?
Oh, he's going to have to break 100. And listen, I think the guy's pretty good. I mean, I do. I think if you can get out of him total yards from scrimmage between the passing game and the running game, if you can get 150 yards out of him from scrimmage, I think that's what they're going to need for this game to be close, because that means he's going to be probably running the ball for close to 100 and getting 50 yards through the air, and that would be a lot of short passes. That would mean a lot of time and possession for the Giants, because the Giants are going to need to keep the Buccaneers off the field, especially with Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady right now, and they're showing it. He has 18 touchdown passes this year, which is fourth in the league. And with the way the wind is blowing tonight, maybe that's going to be a problem for them.
And he got off to a slow start as well.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And again, the Giants have been pretty good against the run this year. That has not been the problem. The problem for the Giants has been over the top. It just seems like the safeties have not really done a very good job this year, and that's going to have to improve.
So I'm taking the Giants plus the 13, 12.5, depending on what.
I take either the 12.5 or the 13. I think the Giants will keep it close, and I think that the weather is going to be a factor, because the wind is, for those of you who haven't checked outside, the wind is brutal. Now I know it's a little more brutal down at the beach than it is inland, but I would imagine a Giant stadium, it's usually pretty bad to begin with. So we'll see what happens.
Seems like we are both on the under 47 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're taking the Giants, you have to be under 47. And again, okay. I think the Giants need to get in the 20s tonight to cover the spread.
And then first touchdown, I like Gronk. You like Mike Evans.
Yes.
All right, let's get to some comments before we move on to the.
I'm going to change it to Fournette.
Fournette? Okay. I changed my mind on the over-under. You change your mind on the first touchdown. Totally acceptable. The game is not kicked off yet.
No.
Let's get to some comments before we dive into the tragic primetime performance of both the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. Tommy Arnone's in the house. He took the Giants. Tampa seemed too easy. Look, it irks me to my core to lay 13 points as a road team in a primetime game. So I'm with you there. Everyone see it's a monster Tampa line, but I'm not buying it. I'm taking the Giants plus the 13 as well, Tom. Greg Malakovic, what's up, fellas? I can't find one part of this game that I can't spin to the Giants to cover. Go TB12, the GOAT. Robert Corden's in the house. Andy Ritter's in the house. Robert Corden. I don't think they cover. Mike Parker doesn't think they cover. He disagrees. He thinks it's going to be 35-10 Tampa Bay. It could be. It could get out of hand. If Tom Brady gets on a roll, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. It could get ugly. The Giants aren't very good. Tampa is very good.
Yeah, and the Giants' offense isn't very good either. If the Giants don't put a lot of points on the board, they're going to have a problem.
I think the look-ahead game to next week with New Orleans is a very real thing.
I agree with you. I think that's kind of what made me change my mind. That, between that and the wind, and it may take Tampa Bay a while to really get it going tonight.
Bobby Eagles 32-24 Tampa Bay. Is that a cover? That's a cover.
Yeah, I'd be proud of the Giants if they were able to stay that close. I mean, I know there are no moral victories in football, but you know what? When you're a 1-6 football team and you're looking at right now, if you're looking at the power rankings, they're probably how many football teams are there? 32?
32. And
they're probably number 31 right now with the power rankings. The Jets are probably the only team behind them at this point. If they're able to stay within 8 points of the Buccaneers, I think I'd be pretty proud of them for being able to be that competitive. But they've proven that they can play competitively against teams that are better than them. So, I mean, they certainly lost a close game to the Bears. They lost a close game to the Rams. They should have beat the Cowboys and keep in mind when they played the Cowboys had out for most of that game.
It was a different Cowboys team. If they played again, I don't think the Cowboys are going to win a game the rest of the year. I really don't.
Yeah, they're bad. They're bad. And even with Dalton, they're not very good either. I mean, that's the problem. Dalton doesn't really make them a whole lot better a team. I mean, Dalton just looks like he's He can't move.
Well, I mean, Andy Dalton is better than Ben DiNucci. Ben DiNucci,
Yeah, Ben DiNucci is.
he is horrible.
Yeah, but I mean, he's the third string quarterback. What do you I mean,
Yeah, but he doesn't even throw the ball overhand. He throws the ball underhand, sidearm every play.
I realize that he looks
bad.
he kind of throws the ball like Phillip Rivers, except Phillip Rivers is actually has made a living doing that, and this guy is not Phillip Rivers by any stretch of the imagination.
Bobby Eagles, the Giants may win this and keep the East interesting.
I don't know.
It would be a pretty monumental upset if the Giants were to beat this team. I mean, Tampa
that would be a monumental upset. I mean, keep in mind also, just calm down about the Giants. They still have to play the Seahawks and the Cardinals, and those are guaranteed losses. And they also still have to play who else is that? They still have to play the Ravens, and they still have to play the Browns. And even without Beckham, the Browns are still a lot better than the Giants. So, and Cincinnati won't be easy in Cincinnati either, as the Tennessee Titans found out yesterday.
Steve Reichel, good evening, fellas. I don't know. Still going to have to go with Tampa despite the weather and the points. Looks like Mike Parker is going to go with Gronk and Miller. He's changed a bunch of times. I wish you luck, Spidey. I hope you win.
I mean, listen, you have to take Gronk because the Giants can't cover tight ends to save their lives. I mean, you guys have seen Ertz do a number on them. Witten used to do the same thing. I mean, the Giants just they can't cover tight ends. It's been like that for a long time, guys.
The run game is going to have to step up. Jones needs the play action to work, and definitely turnovers. Tommy Arnone Jones has to break 100 as well. I think the combination of Fournette and Jones has to break 100, maybe 120.
You mean Gorman and Jones?
No. Ronald Jones, the Tampa Bay.
Tampa. Oh, you're talking about Tampa Bay. Okay.
Who is the backup to Wayne Gallman tonight?
Eli Penny, I think.
Okay, well, if Eli Penny can figure out a way to run against these monsters,
he's not really going to run the ball that much. He's more of a blocking. running back.
Tampa has Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. It's a little bit of a.
They don't listen. The Giants don't have a lot of depth in their backfield. They don't have a lot of receiver depth. It's paper thin. So we'll see. I mean, they're gonna really have to step up their game big time tonight. Yeah, they can't afford any mistakes.
Well, I'll tell you where there was a lot of mistakes. Last night on Sunday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles win a game. It feels like a loss. It's been it's always a good Monday after you beat the Dallas Cowboys, but my Lord.
The Cowboys right now they're horrendous.
They're the worst team in the league. And yes, I do know the New York Jets are in the NFL and the Cowboys are worse. If the Jets and the Cowboys played tomorrow, the Jets.
I'll take the Jets.
I would take the Jets. I think the Jets would be favored, and I think the Jets would win. Dallas is awful. And for the Eagles football team to struggle that mightily 2 weeks in a row against, let's face it, really bad football teams. Both these football teams, the Giants.
You're talking about probably if we're rating them in power ratings, the Giants would be number 31 and the Cowboys would be number 30, or vice versa.
Both seem destined. Both seem destined to be in the top 10 of the draft. Tommy Arnone says a win never feels like a loss. I strongly disagree with that. I feel no sense of satisfaction beating our two biggest rivals in back-to-back weeks with how the eye test looked in those two games. I crushed Laurie for being a soft owner last week. I crushed Roseman for being an inept general manager, and I crushed Doug Peterson for being a bad football coach for the better.
His play calling last night, by the way, was pretty bad too.
Doug stinks. Doug is a bottom-tier coach based on the last year and a half. 2000 was terrific.
They could have run the ball all night against the Cowboys, but they were so stubborn about not doing that. And that's kind of what kept the Cowboys.
Fourth and three, Brad. I need you to try and explain this to me. Because this guy, his head is in the clouds in terms of these 2-point conversions and these fourth down conversions. 4th and 3 at midfield. It's the first half. Ben DiNucci is the quarterback for the Cowboys. They go for it on 4th and 3. I think they fumbled the snap or some bullshit.
That made no sense at all. That was one of the dumbest calls. Because you know what? You want to pump the ball there. You want to pin them back around the 5-yard line, and then you want to force the rookie third string quarterback into a mistake where you can get the ball like on the 5 to 10-yard line and have an easy touchdown. I mean that made no sense. And then you basically handed the Cowboys 3 points on that by doing that,
which would have never happened if you punt the football.
Right. I mean, there's a time and a place to go for it on 4th and 3 from the 50. The first half is not the time and place to do that.
It's not bad. I'm fine with going. If you see something or you have advanced scouting and you can exploit something and get those 3 yards, I say go get them. But in that situation against that opponent with that quarterback and the way that you can really pin them back and really make it impossible for them to be in control of the field position game for the entirety of the first half, you pass that up, you make a silly turnover, which is not surprising with the enigma that is Carson Wentz, because I'm crushing him tonight. I'm absolutely crushing Carson Wentz tonight. It's to the point with these turnovers, Brad. Jason Whitlock, he got crushed here. He does national work for Fox Sports. I think it was Jason Whitlock. He compared him to Jameis Winston in week 2 or 3 because of all of his silly.
That might be a little bit. That might be.
Everyone crushed him. It's not, Brad. He had 4. Carson Wentz accounted for 4 turnovers last night against the worst in the league.
He's not going to have 30 interceptions, though.
Are you sure?
Yeah, he does have a tough schedule. They do have a tough schedule coming up.
A tough schedule, a lot of defenses, and this is a real thing with Carson Wentz maybe not being the quarterback we all thought he was after the 2017 season. It's very real. His decision-making and the way he tries to play this hero ball, I mean, look, right off the bat, he's trying to roll out. He's trying to throw to Dallas Goedert, who's covered nothing good, can come out of it. He's trying to throw the ball. He gets sacked by DeMarcus Lawrence. He fumbles the ball. Right off the bat, 1 turnover. What are you doing? What good can come of it? Just fling the ball out of bounds. Just fling the ball out of bounds. Live the fight another day. The only way the Dallas Cowboys were going to go into the link last night with Ben DiNucci is if Carson Wentz, that offense, and the coaching staff handed them the football game with stupid, dumb play calling, decision making. And Brad, it almost happened.
Well, in the first half, it did happen. They were down 9-7 at halftime. I mean, that just can't happen. You can't. It boggles my mind that they could play that badly against their biggest rival and a division opponent. I mean, the Giants I can sort of understand because you know what the Giants always seem to give the Eagles a tough game in Philly. For whatever reason, it seems like in this rivalry that the Eagles have dominated. The games in Philly are always close, and then the Giants get their brains beat in New York. So, and I can't explain that, but it just seems like for whatever reason the Eagles just I don't know. When they have to start playing these good teams, I mean, they could end up losing all these games against these good teams the way they're playing right now. I mean, do you have any confidence in them to win games against teams like the Saints and the Seahawks and the Cardinals?
No.
I mean, jeez.
No.
I mean, yeah, they may make the playoffs because I mean, in that division, somebody's got to make the playoffs. So I mean, it'll probably be them, but they're gonna have to play against a top-notch team. They're gonna end up playing against the number 5 team, okay, because they're gonna win the division, and they'll play against a team that has a way better record than them, and they're gonna be an underdog at home. And
my guess would be they're going to play either the Arizona Cardinals or the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I honestly can't tell you that. And I do think that this thing with Thomas is going to is going to get fixed with the Saints by the time the playoffs start. I mean, it may be a issue now, but by the time the playoffs start, cooler heads will prevail and everybody will be back playing again. And boy, that Kamara, I'll tell you what. I don't know if you caught the end of the Saints Bears game, but boy, oh boy, I mean, he's so quick. I mean, it looks like he stopped for maybe a 3 or 4 yard gain, and then and all of a sudden in a flash, he's 30 yards down the field, and the Saints are getting ready to kick a field goal to win the game in overtime. Yeah, Bobby, I got to totally disagree with you about you beating the Saints. What in the world have the Eagles shown you that they could beat a team as good as the Saints right now? I'm sorry, with everyone healthy. Everybody healthy, okay, yeah, they're all going to be healthy. The way things are going with the Eagles, somebody else is going to get hurt. Now you know that Lane Johnson continues to be hurt. If he plays a couple of games, is he going to be able to stay healthy on that ankle, or is it going to be a pain in the neck all season? And you just look at the whole team. They're all injury prone. It just seems like.
They do have a bye week coming up.
They're going to need it.
I mean, Lane Johnson, hopefully he can get healthy. Miles Sanders, hopefully he can get healthy. Zach Ertz, hopefully he can get healthy. Malik Jackson and Darius Slay left the football game last night. They need to get healthy. TJ.
The Eagles have the Giants next week, right?
Well, they have a bye week.
All right, so both the Giants and the Eagles, I think, have a bye week next week.
Have a bye next week. That's correct.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, it's going to be.
But Brett, we got to get back to the quarterback here in Carson Wentz because, I'm sick of these excuses. It's always someone else's fault besides Carson. Now, is Doug putting him in the best position to win? No, but are injuries and continuity hurting this team? Every Monday, it's the same thing. Every Monday, Doug Peterson has a press conference and a radio interview on a local station here, and every week it's the same. He just brings out these nonsense excuses like, "Oh, we don't have any continuity on offense. We have too many injuries." But it's the play calling, it's the coaching of day-to-day coaching of Carson Wentz that's failing. And I don't know what's going through Carson's head on these decision-making processes. But if he plays like that against the Saints or the Packers or the Seahawks, if Carson Wentz, the Eagles turn the ball over 4 times against a good team like that, it's going to be a rout and they're going to have no chance. If they turn the ball over after the bye, if they come out and they turn the ball over 4 times against the Giants, they're probably going to lose. You can't turn the ball 4 times in this league. He's rolling out. He throws a prayer towards the end zone into double coverage. That gets intercepted. I'll excuse the 1 interception on the deep ball to John Hightower because, first off, it was an awful play call by Doug Peterson. And I don't know why John Hightower continues to get snaps with Jalen Reagor healthy, who played last night, scored a touchdown from your first-round pick, a very good sign. Dallas Goedert back in the lineup. And Travis Fulgham being this hidden gem that comes out of nowhere and is just saving the Eagles receiving core for Carson Wentz. I don't understand why John Hightower is still getting looks down the field when he's proven time and time again he can't play. And I don't want to hear that he's a rookie. He's a late-round guy out of Boise State who's had chance after chance to make plays, put in a position to make plays in this offense, and he's proven time and time again he can't do it. Dance Hall Queen, he's forcing throws. I totally agree with you. Throws that he doesn't have to make. All the Eagles had to do last night was play mistake-free football, and you win by double digits.
I got to disagree with a couple of the guys here who are talking about the Saints. Are you guys kidding me? Kamara will eat you guys alive.
Let's get to some of this.
I saw some of those comments. Kamara will eat you up alive. What makes you think that you could stop Kamara? You couldn't stop the Rams. Okay, they made your defense look like a college team. Okay, and now you're thinking that you're going. What have the Eagles shown that makes you think that they could stop the Saints? I think or the Packers. I mean, the Packers. Do you think that you're going to be able to stop Devontae Adams? And the Packers have a running game too. They're going to destroy you guys. So what are you talking about? I mean,
Then,
what have the Eagles done this year? What game have the Eagles played this year that shows you that they can play with those kind of teams right now? Because I haven't seen that game. If you're going to sit there and talk to me about San Francisco, who quarterbacked that game for San Francisco? Because it wasn't Jimmy G.
no.
The
Nick
Eagles won one game this year against a number one quarterback, okay, and that was Jones on the Giants, okay? And they would have lost that game if Evan Ingram held on to the ball. So I don't want to hear that. I want to see the Eagles actually. If the Eagles are that good, they should have pounded it. It should have been 38-9 last night. I mean, how do you?
And I'm sick of the injuries. There was enough talent on that field. They had enough guys back. The Eagles, that is, had enough guys back to win that game with ease. Dallas Goedert played. Jalen Reagor played. T.J. Edwards came back at linebacker. You're relatively healthy on defense. So I don't want to hear that this team's too injured. Ask the San Francisco 49ers about injuries.
Every team gets in. First, Rob, here's my question. And this is for you guys who are telling me how the Eagles will beat the Packers or the Saints, okay? If the New York Giants went to Green Bay, do you think they're going to lose by 1 point? Look at me with a straight face and tell me.
No.
Okay.
No, the Eagles would be probably double-digit underdogs in that game.
If the Giants went to New Orleans and played New Orleans in New Orleans, okay, do you think they're losing the game by 1 point?
No.
Okay. Well, the Eagles beat the Giants at home by 1 point. Okay. You're going to put them right now I'm sorry. Right now, the Eagles are a bottom 10 team. Just because they've won 2 in a row, they beat the number 31 and 30 teams in the NFL right now. That's who they beat. Okay. And when they beat San Francisco didn't have Jimmy G. Okay. And San Francisco's not that good to begin with anyway. So, I mean, we have to take that with a grain of salt. You've lost games to the Washington football team, and you tied Cincinnati. You got stung in Pittsburgh, which everybody is getting stung by Pittsburgh. So you know what? I'll excuse that. But you got your brains beaten by the Rams, who have proven that they're not that great either.
No, they stink.
I mean, Buffalo beat the Rams, and Buffalo's a pretty good team, but that's really all Buffalo. Buffalo's a pretty good team. They're not a great team by any stretch of the imagination. They're okay. And I'm sorry, guys. When I want to see you guys go into one of these stadiums and win a game, or when you play a bad team, when you play the Giants in a couple of weeks, beat them by 20 points if you're so good. Stop telling me how you're going to beat the best teams in the league when you can barely beat the worst teams in the league. I'm not buying that.
Thomas Arnone, I agree with Doug's statements. Look, there's merit to Doug's statements, but at the end of the day, enough's enough. You got to step up and you got to go out there and you got to perform. For this team to be, I know that they had some injuries, but that team was healthy enough last night with Goddard and Reagor back in the mix to really put a hurting on the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, I was expecting 40-7, 40-14 last night.
And they have to scratch and claw because guess what? Carson Wentz is not good right now. He's not playing like $100 million franchise quarterback. He hasn't all season. Carson Wentz has yet to play 60 minutes of good football this year. He's yet to play a career game, a complete game, excuse me. Just period. End of story. His poor decision-making and turnovers are not excused by bad coaching and injuries. It's just not. And for Eagles fans and Carson apologists to keep going back to the well and say they're too injured and Doug stinks, guess what? Doug does stink. And I don't think Doug's a good coach at all. I think 2017 was an admiration for Doug Peterson. I think he may just somehow pushed all the right buttons. Every fourth down he went for was the right call. He had a quarterback that was playing out of his mind, and he had a stable of excellent assistant coaches, Frank Reich being the lead dog in that pack. And you know what the Eagles did in 2017? They had a defense that caused turnovers and pressured quarterbacks. They don't have that this year. Yeah, Fletcher Cox finally stepped up and had a good game with his $100 million contract. But, guess what? Dallas is missing three out of their 5 starting offensive linemen. Am I supposed to be impressed? With that? Big Fletch is back. Brandon Graham's back. Brandon Graham had a really good year.
Brandon Graham has been pretty darn good this year, though. No, I can't. You know what? I can't get on.
My point being is that this defense is not playing at the same level that it did in the 2017 Super Bowl run. Far from it. And Carson Wentz is just an enigma. He's not. He's closer to what he showed. He's closer to. Look, he's an above average starting quarterback, I would say right now, until he proves me up.
He's a little bit above average. I mean, listen, 2017 he was great. The whole team was great, but you can't compare this team now to 2017. Even if they're all healthy, they're nowhere near as good as they were that year.
No, my only point about 2017 in terms of Hold on. My only point about 2017 in terms of Carson Wentz is that's the best he can do. That's the best case scenario for Carson Wentz. He's never going to duplicate that. That's my opinion until he proves me otherwise. I don't know if his head's up his ass because they drafted Jalen Hurts. I don't know if this ridiculous coaching structure they have in Philadelphia right now with no offensive coordinator. You have Doug Peterson who calls the plays. You have Deuce Staley. You have a passing game coordinator. You have a running game coordinator. You don't have an offensive coordinator. You can't tell me that's not hurting Carson Wentz. But at the end of the day, coaching or no coaching, Carson's on the field. There's an incomplete pass on 3rd and 8. Looks like the Giants are going to hold Tampa Bay to a field goal here, which is good for the under.
They put a big pass rush on Brady in a big spot.
But like you can't tell me I can't. But and at the end of the day, even though I'm disappointed in Carson Wentz, I'm not about to bench Carson Wentz for Jalen Hurts. I don't think Jalen Hurts is ready to play yet, and I'm certainly not trying to trade Carson Wentz for Nick Foles, like Max Kellerman suggested today.
Oh my God, no way. No, God.
Like, stop it. Nick Foles isn't good. Nick Foles is a backup quarterback in the NFL.
Nick Foles played okay against the Saints yesterday. He played okay. He was okay. I mean, the Saints have a good defense, but he played okay yesterday, but he was nothing special. It's not like, listen, the Bears had the ball in overtime and they couldn't get it done. Okay? Then they kick it to the Saints, and the Saints couldn't get it done. Kick it back to the Bears. The Bears once again. So Foles had 2 chances in that overtime yesterday and couldn't get it done. And you knew the second time the Saints got the ball, you knew that they would score. You just knew that. And you know what? That's the difference between a Nick Foles and a guy like Drew Brees, even at Drew Brees' advanced age. I mean, Foles was not that good, guys. He had a great year in 2017. It was a great story. It's just like Jeff Hostetler when he's with the Giants. Jeff Hostetler was an okay quarterback, but when he came in to replace Phil Simms in 1990, he had a great Super Bowl. He had a great run, and they won the Super Bowl, but he wasn't that good a quarterback. Same thing here. Foles is okay. He's okay. Listen, if you're asking him to come off the bench and save you, he can definitely do that. But you know, when he plays as a starting quarterback and he's playing every week, he's going to get exposed, and that's exactly what's happening to him in Chicago. So no, I wouldn't trade him for Carson Wentz. I mean, if I'm the Eagles, I'm not trading Wentz for Foles. Are you kidding me?
And then
I would take Wentz. I would take Wentz on the Giants in a second, guys. In a second.
But Brett, it's every week at his press conferences. I'm not good enough. I got to be smarter. I got to not turn the ball over. Comes out the next week. He's not smart. He makes poor decisions. He turns the ball over. At some point, he's got to turn his words, his rhetoric, into performance on the field. Like, I mean, I can't listen to him. Now he's wearing goofy outfits and goofy hats at his press conferences. The fact that he just goes up there and just spits out a couple of talking points leads me to believe that
I think that you know what, he knows what's going on. He's not a dumb guy. And you know what? I do give him credit for one thing. At least he's up there, and at least he's out there, and he's taking it like a man when he gets beat up. He's not hiding. I can think of a lot of guys in New York right now that are running off and hiding after the games because they don't want to talk to anybody. I mean, it's not like that. At least it's not like that in Philadelphia. At least these guys are out there and they're taking it like a man.
Spike 20 pros. Carson can't get it through his thick skull after 5 freaking years. Yeah, I mean, he wants to play hero ball. He wants to score a touchdown every play. Well, guess what? The Doug Peterson, Andy Reid style of offense, it's not a run and shoot offense. It's just not. Sometimes it's not going to be there. You got to throw it away. Sometimes on 3rd and 8, you're going to have to throw the ball away and punt and live to fight another day, live to fight another possession, especially.
It's amazing. Rob, I find it amazing how many quarterbacks don't get that. To throw the damn when there's nothing there.
Hey, it's okay.
Throw it away and fight another day. I mean,
and you know what? If Ben DiNucci goes out there and shreds our defense, that's not on Carson Wentz.
No, definitely not.
But he can't get that through his head. He's an enigma right now because I do think there's a good quarterback inside of Carson Wentz. I really do. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's being coached poorly. I mean, I think he is getting coached poorly because I think Doug's a stone dope. It's been a year and a half with Doug, and it's been the same bullshit each and every week, the same play calls, the same 4th down stuff, the same 2-point calls. I mean, it's just ridiculous with Doug. And then
I'll tell you what, he loves those 2-point conversions. He's always.
I mean, then he has the but Brett, some of these 2-point conversions, the math doesn't make any sense.
No, I know they don't. That's part of the problem with them. I mean, listen, it worked out well.
Hold on. Let me run through this. And maybe you can explain this to me in a way that I can understand. The Eagles are down 9-7 at half. They come out, they get a touchdown. I think this was the 3rd quarter. Could have been early 4th quarter. They come out, they get a touchdown. They get 6 points for the touchdown. They're at 13. They go for 2. They end up getting it, so it's fine to get themselves to 15. But, Brad, if you miss that 2-point conversion, you're stuck on 13. You're up 13-9.
Now the field goal can talk. Now if they get a field goal.
Now if you let up a touchdown to Dallas and they kick it, it's 16-13. A field goal only ties the football game if you're the Eagles because it's 13 because you missed the 2-point conversion. You follow me?
Yep, I don't.
Whereas if you kick the ball to get the 14, a field goal goes and wins the game for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I really
understand that. The math doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to go for 2 there. I don't understand what chart, what analytics these and it's not just Doug too. I'm crushing Doug right now, but this is a league-wide analytical 2-point conversion nonsense that's going on, and it doesn't make any sense.
Well, because it's analytical, that's why it doesn't make sense. I mean,
but what analytics? Like you're screwing yourself out of a potential win with a field goal if you miss that 2-point conversion.
Well, you got to make it. I mean, listen, he's putting it on his offense that they can get 2 yards on one play. That's what he's doing. You know what? For the most part, I think this season they've been pretty good.
It's such an unnecessary risk.
But you know what? They're figuring Dallas's defense. I mean, in the case with Dallas's defense is so bad they should be able to get the 2 points. I get it against Dallas, but when they do it against real good teams, that I don't get because they're going to get one of these weeks. They're going to get burned. Look at this. A razzle-dazzle.
A little razzle-dazzle.
They're going to get a first down and more. That's a nice call. I like it. Jason Garrett, how do you like that one, huh?
I thought they were going to throw it back and he was going to throw it again.
Yeah, well, they could have because he threw it behind the line. That's a hell of a call.
So he goes out running back.
That was Golden Tate, I think, that threw that pass. I didn't even know Golden Tate.
First down. The Giants are on the move on the plus side of the field.
I mean, did you know Golden Tate was left-handed?
No, I did not. No, I do.
Well, guess what? He's been in the league for 13 years, and we just learned something about he throws left-handed. But now
that running play right there, that's just not going to cut it. You got to run straight against.
And again, that's Andrew Thomas's side with Lemieux making his first start because Hernandez is out of the game with because he tested positive for COVID on Wednesday. So I mean that's going to be a problem running to that side. They're going to have to run to the right side. I mean they can't run to the left side. So right now you have Thomas and Lemieux, and that's just not going to work. They're going to have to go to the right side with Zeitler and Fleming and take their chances on that side. So again, they go to the left side, and again, nothing. So it's the same. As I said, Rob, I've watched this team enough to know they just it's hard.
Third down here, it'd be nice. Put some pressure, make Tampa Bay think about it a little bit. If you can convert on this third down here. Getting to some of the comments, Bobby Eagles, we can beat the Saints with everyone healthy. Yeah, I'll take us. I don't understand on what planet. The Eagles aren't good. I don't know on what planet. And I don't.
That's what I keep saying, Rob. Show me that you're good, okay?
I don't even think the Saints are legitimate contenders to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And the Eagles still don't have a prayer. I don't think the Green Bay Packers are legitimate contenders to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. The Eagles have no chance at going into Lambeau and winning that game. None. Even if they win, they'll turnover battle somehow.
You think they're going to go into Seattle and beat Seattle? Or they're going to go into Tampa Bay and beat them?
No, those are. I mean,
that's pretty much impossible.
They don't have to play Tampa.
No, but if they make the playoffs, if you think they're an elite team, they're going to have to at some point beat Tampa.
Look, I've been saying the Eagles aren't an elite team since they picked Jalen Hurts in the second round of the draft. That draft pick told me
they really messed up. They messed up their team by doing that. That was a really
they messed up Carson Wentz. They messed up the mix in the locker room. They're bringing in Hurts and they're running all these Harry High School inside veer Herman Boone style. Remember the Titans offense? It's like Novocaine. We run 6 plays, give it time, it always works. It's nonsense. The pick of Jalen Hurts at pick 53 told me the Eagles weren't serious about winning in 2020. And so far, I have not been proven wrong.
Well, you know what it is? Howie is enamored with that guy on the Saints.
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill, exactly. He's enamored with that guy, and he thought, I guess he still must think that Hurts can be Taysom Hill, and maybe he can. I don't know. He hasn't shown it yet, but that Taysom Hill is exceptional, though. Taysom Hill is a pretty good passer too. He threw a nice pass. He threw a real nice pass on that winning drive yesterday too. I mean, and he can run the ball. I mean, I don't know if Hurts can be as good as him. I mean, and when did the Saints draft him? With the 4th pick?
Taysom Hill?
Yeah.
Oh, way down the way.
Second round pick. I mean,
he was day 3. He was day 3, maybe not even drafted.
I mean, you don't draft guys like that in the second round. Not unless you think that he might end up being the starting quarterback. I mean,
if you're a loaded team and you got everything you need to win a championship and you want to draft a gadget player, okay. I still think it's a mistake because especially with COVID now, you need all the depth you can get. But I mean, the season was doomed from the start. And the astonishing thing about it is the NFC East is so bad that the Eagles are still probably the overwhelming favorites to win this thing and host.
Last I saw, they're 3.5-1 favorites. I think I read that on Bleacher Report a few days ago.
You watched the game last night, obviously, Brad. Did you see? I think it was the third quarter. They flashed to Jerry Jones in his box, just watching the game with just a dejected, pathetic look on his face, which was just
don't you just love when he looks like that?
Absolutely awesome.
He knows. He looks
like he's on the brink of death. It looks like a stiff wind could blow him over and poof him into a cloud of dust. He's got to be looking around thinking, this slop in the division, and this is the year my quarterback shatters his ankle. Dallas should run away with this division.
Well, if they had Dak Prescott, maybe they would. But you know what? You can't say that would have been the case because you know what? They got smoked by the Cleveland Browns. They should have lost to Atlanta. They were lucky as hell to beat the Giants. I mean, listen, they weren't exactly the '85 Bears when they had them on their team because their defense was so bad. Last night the defense played a little better, but you know what? They were atrocious. Look at this. The Giants have
a potential turnover
at the 11-yard line.
Now you gotta cash in. You gotta cash in here if you're the Giants and get a touchdown.
Now, Rob, what were you saying about the 4th and 3 for the Eagles last night on the 50-yard line?
Yes.
Okay. This play is the reason why you make sure that you now. Did he catch the ball?
I don't.
Yeah, he caught the ball. He absolutely did.
Isn't he down once he gets touched?
Let's see.
That's
He got up. He was not.
Now, I don't know how they're ultimately going to call this because I've given up trying to predict these.
First possession. Okay, he got up. He wasn't on his knee. If he was touched while his knees were on the ground, the play would be over. But that's a fumble. And Tomlinson made a nice play by getting his hand on that football and just disrupting the flow of the pass. So I mean that's a good defensive play by the Giants, and those are the kind of plays they need if they're going to be competitive in this football game. And they really need to get a touchdown here.
Bobby Eagles Brink, we won the game, brother. We're going to have to change the poll question, agree or disagree. Are Eagles fans salty even when we beat our biggest rivals? You're beating us up even when we win. We all agree it wasn't pretty, but I got faith we can right the ship after this bye. I just said the Eagles were overwhelming favorites to win the division despite their issues. I've been critical of Carson Wentz's turnovers the whole season, which is 1,000% fair. I said I didn't want to trade Carson Wentz for Nick Foles, as Max Kellerman suggested. I said I didn't want to bench Carson Wentz in favor of Jalen Hurts. I don't know what you want from me. You want me to say that I think the Eagles are a good team and they have a legitimate chance to beat good teams and win a playoff game? I'm not going to sit here and do that because they don't have a chance. They're not a good team. They don't have a chance to beat good teams, and they're not going to win a playoff game. I don't know what you want from me. You want me
exactly what have the Eagles shown you this year that tells you that they can win a game?
What about this team excites you?
What have they done?
What about the Eagles should I be excited about right now? You have a coach who's a dope. You have an owner who's soft. You have a GM who's inept. You have a quarterback who's a turnover machine. He might throw 30 interceptions, Brad. With the schedule coming up and his poor decision-making, it is not out of the realm of possibilities that he matches Jameis Winston's turnover rate from last year.
Oh, God, I would hope that wouldn't happen. I can't imagine he's going to do that.
And Brad, everyone wants to say they're going to get healthy after the bye. Carson Wentz had enough weapons last night to put together a successful game, and the Eagles two-handedly beat the Dallas Cowboys. Goddard played, Rager played, Fulgham, and the hidden gem that this team has needed.
And the Cowboys' defense, let's be honest, their defense stinks.
It's the worst defense maybe I've ever seen. They flashed up a stat in the game. They've given up the most yards, I think, since 1982.
Yeah, I mean,
like that.
They're on a pace to give up like 480 points this year, something like that. I mean, that's
really an awesome pitch and catch by.
And the Giants take an early lead. How about that?
I don't know who that is. Oh, Dion Lewis.
Dion Lewis makes a nice
catching specialist.
Well, yeah, just don't let him run the ball because he might fumble.
Well, he looked good right there. That was an excellent catch from Daniel Jones to Dion Lewis. The Giants are 6-3 for now. Hopefully they can make the extra point.
Daniel Jones making these kind of throws. These are the kind of throws that make you scratch your head about Daniel Jones because he'll make a throw like that and you'll be like, wow. I mean, he threaded the needle. Look at that, just past White and really a nice catch. I mean,
he's a hell of a player. 45 there in red.
Yeah,
He's a stud.
Yeah, I mean that was a great pass. You see passes like that, and you wonder why the Giants can't do that more often. It's because the receivers really aren't good. That's the
On
problem.
the Eagles. Greg, tell me 3 positives from last night's game. There weren't that many positives. I'll try. Travis Fulgham. Travis Fulgham can play. Travis Fulgham is a legitimate NFL receiver, a legitimate go-to guy for Carson Wentz. Carson trusts him. He gets open. He has great body control. He has great size. He's an unbelievable athlete. Jordan Mailata, they move him from left tackle over to right tackle. He still had a pretty good game. Jordan Mailata looks like a good find by Howie Roseman in the front office with the 7th-round pick. It looks like he can play. Maybe he can be the new Big V. And we saw Fletcher Cox sighting for the first time, maybe all season. He had a couple sacks. He's got his swag back a little bit. He's dancing around. He's celebrating. That's a positive. But all the positives are outweighed by a coach who just looks in over his head and a quarterback who's a turnover machine. I don't care how many positives you saw like night. If you get 4 turnovers from your starting quarterback, you're not going to win many games in this league. They're very fortunate they played an absolute dumpster fire in the Dallas Cowboys and were able to get a win last night. The Eagles stink right now. The Eagles stink. The fact that they're in first place in what's probably the worst division in NFL history seems to have blinded some Eagles fans in the chat tonight, thinking they can beat the Packers and the Saints. I'm not even sure they can go into Cleveland and win a game right now. Let me ask you this, Brad. Chargers, total dumpster fire in the AFC. They blow a double-digit lead every week. They blew I believe it was a 24-point lead yesterday to the Denver Broncos.
That was unbelievable that they lost that game.
If the Los Angeles Chargers played the Philadelphia Eagles on a neutral field next Sunday, who would be favored? What would the spread be?
Oh, boy. That's a tough one.
Maybe the Eagles favored by 1 or 2, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Eagles would be like 2.5-point favorites.
Okay, what if they played the Denver Broncos on a neutral field next Sunday?
They'd be like 4.5-point favorites, I think.
The Eagles would be favored against the Denver Broncos?
Well, the Broncos aren't good, though.
The Eagles aren't good, Brad.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Jeez. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think those are 2 bad football teams, by the way. So I can tell you right now,
bad football team.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now.
The Broncos would run away with the NFC East.
Well, you know what? The Chargers, yes. I think you're right. I think you're right about that. I'll tell you what. The Raiders would run away with the NFC East.
That was actually my next proposition. If they played the Raiders, the Eagles played the Raiders next Sunday.
The Raiders would kill them. It would absolutely.
I disagree with that. I can't even argue with that. And I think Derek Carr blows. I think he blows. I think John Gruden is itching to get his hands on Trevor Lawrence in next year's draft. Itching.
Yeah, but you know what? I think
John get rid of Derek Carr.
Rob, I'll tell you what. I think John Gruden right now is the coach of the year. The way he's got that team playing. That team is playing superb football.
Coach of the year.
Absolutely. Did you think they'd be this good?
I'm just running through it in my head. You're throwing a curveball at me.
For the first half.
I didn't. I mean, I guess there's merit to that. There's merit to that for sure.
I was expecting to listen out of their for their first 8 games. I was expecting 2-6.
And they're the only team to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, and they beat the Saints too.
That's right. They did beat the Saints.
I think, and I mean that's impressive. Those are two nice games to put on the resume. And they lost a game in Buffalo. I mean, it's hard to go to Buffalo and win from the West Coast. That's not easy to do that. And Buffalo's a pretty good team.
Puerto Rock last night, it wasn't 40 points because of Carson. I can't disagree with that.
He's right. But that's the whole problem in a nutshell. He's not. There's something amiss with Carson Wentz. It's just there's something not right. Now I don't know if he's a little gun shy back there, or I don't know. I don't know if he's got the yips and makes bad throws sometimes. I don't know. It's hard to understand what the deal is. I mean, he should be playing a lot better than this. He's better than the way he's played.
But Brett, going back to the 4th and 3, I believe it was the same 4th down. It might have been a different one, but they went for it on another 4th and short. All he had to do was make a 3-step drop, and he had 2 receivers wide open. Instead, he holds the ball, he loops around the edge rusher, tries to roll out, and it doesn't work out. 3-step drop. You only need a yard. Hit the check down. Get the first down. Move the ball down the field.
I think you're right.
I don't get it with the guy. I mean,
it seems like he's always looking to make the big play instead of just taking the 2 or 3 yards. Sometimes a 2 or 3 yard pickup is all you need. And you have
I also think Carson Wentz has too much freedom at the line of scrimmage. Too much freedom. He's checking off. He's audibling too much. I don't think that's his forte. I think hit it if it's there or throw the ball away if it's not.
Well, you know what? He's been in the league long enough that he should be able to read a defense and make the right call.
I don't know. He's an enigma right now. I don't understand it because, like I said, I do think there's a good player. And deep down in Carson Wentz, there is a good quarterback there. He's not.
He's listen. I told you before. If you're asking me, I would put Carson Wentz on the Giants in a minute. I don't think it's all. I don't think this is all his fault. I think a lot of it. Yes, it does have a lot to do with injuries, but you have to understand something. Some quarterbacks can drive the Cadillac, but they can't drive the Volkswagen. You know what I mean?
Right.
And right now, the Eagles are the Volkswagen, and Carson's just not driving the car right now. You know, I mean, if you put him on a good team, he's going to be great because he's got a lot of ability, and it's going to show, and his strengths will be exposed. But it's kind of like Goff. I think Goff is kind of the same way, Rob.
Jared Goff stinks.
Well, but when you put him on a good team, he looks pretty darn good. But you know what? When the team isn't so good, then he looks terrible.
Jared Goff blows.
I'm not a big fan of his. I
watched football. I watched the Red Zone majority of the afternoon after I got home from all campus in Ocean City for our broadcast, our joint stuff with 97.3 ESPN. Watched Red Zone pretty much all day, and a bunch of things hit me like a ton of bricks when it comes to the NFL. Move on to that before we get into the big picture. So, Brink, how do you fix Wentz? What's the answer we all want to hear? I don't know. I don't know. But, he's got to make better decisions. He's got to stop turning the ball over.
I think maybe it seems to me that Wentz is a better quarterback when he's running to his right. Maybe it's my imagination. And again, I don't watch every play of every game with the Eagles because if the Giants are on, I'm going to watch the Giants, obviously. But I mean, when I watch Wentz, it seems like when he's kind of rolling to his right, he's really, really good, and he's not good running to his left. And it doesn't seem like he's all that great a drop back passer unless it's a quick pass. Well, I think what Doug needs to do is start accentuating what Wentz is really good at and stop trying to force stuff that isn't there, that he's not good at. He's not very good running to his left. I can tell you that right now. He's really not.
He's a right-handed player.
I know, but there are a lot of quarterbacks who are right-handed. Aaron Rodgers can go to his left and without a problem.
Aaron Rodgers is probably a top 10 quarterback of all time.
Understood, but it's not just him though. Even like Baker Mayfield, you see him go to his left. He doesn't seem to have a problem with it. Carson Wentz does. If he's not good at going to his left, then you know what? Then you accentuate his ability to go to his right. I mean, but that's what you got to do. And the Giants' defense, once again, keeping the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out of the end zone and actually out of field goal range, unless they want to try a 60-yard field goal. So the Giants
that's not there. I mean, that's a coverage stop right there. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, he threw into double coverage. That that had no chance. I mean, the Giants right now are playing very solid football. But if you're a Giant fan, we've seen this before. And then they always seem to have that something terrible always seems to happen like that.
That's a great special teams play.
Yeah, like that.
This is why you punt early in the game from midfield, Doug.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay has just shown you another reason why Doug made such a foolish mistake.
Tampa Bay down the ball right there. You have Daniel Jones, an inexperienced, underperforming quarterback, backed up inside his 10-yard line.
Who tends to
quarterback of Tom Brady. The Giants just had him pinned back inside his 10-yard line, and even the almighty Tom Brady felt the heat, and he made a crucial mistake, led to a New York Giants touchdown.
Exactly. I mean, listen, I know the guy fumbled, but you know what? Brady allowed his pass to get tipped at the line of scrimmage, and it messed up the whole play. And that's on Brady.
Bob, and then I'm going to answer Bobby Eagles' question. How do we fix Carson Wentz? Number one, 3-step drops, less freedom at the line of scrimmage to make audibles, force him to run the called play. If it's not there, he's got to throw it away and live to fight another day. Commit more to the run, roll him out to his right, like you alluded to, and I just hope that he can just make better decisions and up tempo. I would go up tempo a lot more.
Hey Rob, did you know that the Giants got Albert Morris?
Who's he?
Remember the guy that used to be with the Redskins all those years?
That can't be the same guy.
Yes, it is.
Big Al.
It's Albert Morris. Okay, so he's the backup.
Big Alf making an appearance on Monday Night Football.
Yep.
I liked Alfred Moore. He was a tough runner on Washington.
Yep. And wow, look at this. The Giants are able to get out of the bad field position hole.
He gave balance to RG3 when RG3 was a good player.
Yes, he did. Yes,
they were able to win a division.
Yeah, I mean he's a little past his prime, but you know what? At least he's a what do you call it? A capable running back.
Just a thought. Jim Harbaugh has 1 year left on his contract, and he knows how to build and run an offense. Think we could sway him?
Ooh.
Jim Harbaugh in Baltimore? Why would you leave Baltimore to come to this?
No, John Harbaugh is in Baltimore. Jim is in Michigan.
Oh, no.
I don't think so.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
One thing Doug has going for him.
He's talking about. I would assume he's talking about Michigan, about Jim Harbaugh in Michigan, right? He can't be talking about John because there's no way the Ravens are going to let him go.
Bobby Eagles. Well, you don't want to bench him for Hurts. You bash him for bad play. Yeah, I bet. What are you seeing? What are you seeing?
Play better.
You got to fix something or sit him for a game is the only thing that can happen. Do you think he needs to step back and see the game from the sidelines for a game? Do you grind it out hoping he makes better decisions? I don't know. Bobby, we're getting to the point where he might have to sit down for a half. Might have to sit down for a game and watch Jalen Hurts or Nate Sudfeld run this offense. We're getting to that point because he's turning the ball over at an alarming rate. And the fact that they've won these past 2 games, committing as many turnovers as he has is astonishing to me.
That's because
the only thing I'm saying is I wouldn't bet
competition though that you're playing. I mean, you guys always seem to beat the Giants. You have a way you always seem to find a way to beat the Giants, and the Cowboys are playing their third string quarterback. I mean, you have to take that. You have to understand that, guys. That makes a huge difference. I mean, you guys have to play a lot better in the second half than the way you've played, because the way you've been playing in the first half, your second half schedule is just fierce. And if you keep playing the way you've been playing the first half of the season, you're screwed. You're screwed. The only games you're going to win are maybe your division games. But you are definitely headed for 3-5. Okay? And if you want to go into the playoffs,
maybe you can go into Cleveland and win.
Maybe, but if you go 3-5 and you go into the playoffs as a 6-9-1 team, I'm sorry. You know what? You're still going to be. You may win the division and you may get your banner, but you know what? You're still going to be considered a laughing stock unless you shock the world and win a couple of playoff games. You're still going to be considered a laughing stock, and your coach is probably could get fired. I mean, 6-9 and 1.
Doug and Howie, their jobs are safe because Jeffrey Lurie is a soft owner.
Okay, I mean,
it's gonna take. Look. It took until doomsday, red alert, panic mode for Jeffrey Lurie to act on the Chip Kelly front. Like, it had to get really, really bad here for him to make a move with Chip Kelly. It had to get really, really bad here for him to finally make the move with Andy Reid. Andy Reid's probably a top 5 coach of all time, but his time in Philadelphia came to an end. Probably, every coach has a.
A coach like Andy Reid deserves the benefit of the doubt.
And he got the benefit of the doubt a few times.
He did, but you know what? And again, as you said, Rob, it was time for him to move on. I mean, it just wasn't going to happen here. I mean, he came with the Chiefs, and he's got a great team with the Chiefs, and he's got a great quarterback with the Chiefs, and he may win 2 or 3 Super Bowls before it's over with that team.
Big third down here for the Giants before we get into the rest of the league. They put the blitz on. Jones going deep. That play just never happened. There is a flag.
Something tells me it's going to be holding against the Giants, though, because
I thought I saw movement up front.
Oh, okay. Well,
I thought I saw movement up front, and I'm not
maybe
sure.
Maybe that would explain why they went deep.
It's a neutral zone infraction, and that's going to be a first down.
So you know what? You got to give Jones credit for throwing a deep ball on a free play. I like that. I mean, isn't that what you're kind of supposed to do? Oh, he was offside, and they knew it too, and Jones knew it too. That's why he went deep.
All right. So, like I said earlier, Brad, before Bobby Eagles posed his question about how to fix Carson Wentz, watched a lot of Red Zone today. I had a couple of epiphanies in terms of who are contenders and who are pretenders in terms of the NFL. Brad, I only see 6 teams that could possibly represent their respective conferences in the Super Bowl. We'll start with the AFC. 2 of them played each other yesterday. It was a great game. The Ravens and the Steelers. The Steelers remain undefeated. They're 7-0. They've beaten the Titans. They've beaten the Ravens. I believe they do play the Chiefs. So we'll see how that's
going to be one hell of a football game.
But the Steelers and the Ravens, both legitimate Super Bowl contenders, I don't see how it could be argued. And then in terms of the AFC, the Chiefs cover an absurd spread. They cover a 20-point spread against the lowly New York Jets. I think the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL right now. All due respect to the Pittsburgh Steelers and their 7-0 record.
I agree with you. With all due respect to the Seattle Seahawks, I agree with you.
There's another first down for the New York Giants. Sterling Shepard, 12-yard completion. Giants on the move again. Giants showing up. Giants playing spoiler.
That 13 points is looking pretty good right now, Rob.
It is looking pretty good. Early.
If they happen to put another touchdown on the board, it would look real good.
But in terms of the NFC, so I only see 6 legitimate Super Bowl contenders, 3 in each conference. The Chiefs, the Steelers, and the Ravens in the AFC. There's more to talk about. I don't even think there's another team that you can even consider, you can even talk about in terms of the AFC, in terms of legitimate Super Bowl contenders. I'm out on the Tennessee Titans. They're total frauds. Brad, they can't stop anybody, the Titans.
They've struggled the last couple of weeks, no doubt.
They have a 27th going into the Sunday slate of games. They had the 26th overall defense in the league statistically. They get totally trounced by the Cincinnati Bengals, Brad. The Cincinnati Bengals were missing their starting running back, Joe Mixon, their starting left tackle, and their starting center. And the Titans defense still got shredded by Joe Burrow. They lose the game by double digits. The Titans are frauds. I don't see them as legitimate contenders. Congratulations to the Buffalo Bills. Although they didn't cover my spread, it was my big bet of the day. They win by 3. They finally beat the New England Patriots. It looks like they are shoo-ins to represent the AFC East in the playoffs, but they're not legitimate Super Bowl contenders. I lauded Josh Allen for being a legitimate MVP candidate a few weeks ago. He's not an MVP candidate. He's not very good, Brad.
They don't really have great receivers, though. To be fair,
I mean, you have Diggs, you have Brown, you have Beasley, you have two pretty good running backs.
Diggs is a nice target for them, and Beasley's been good on the first down type of situations. Daniel Jones.
I think Josh Allen is a game manager at best, and I don't think they can beat.
I think he's a little better than a game manager. He's an exceptionally good runner.
He is. He's an athlete with a strong arm.
Yeah, he does.
I don't think he's that good of a I don't think he's that good of a quarterback.
He may not be accurate enough.
He's a caliber quarterback. I just don't.
Yeah, he may not be accurate enough. I mean that's definitely a possibility there. But I like Josh Allen. I like what I've seen at him. I really like the way the Buffalo defense yesterday stopped the Patriots in the fourth quarter on that final drive, forcing that fumble. I mean that's just really good defense. I mean Cam was moving that ball, and in the fourth quarter he had everything going, and then in the fourth quarter on that last drive, with under a minute to go, the Patriots are on the Bills' the 15-yard line, and Cam gets sacked. No, he didn't get sacked. He ran the ball,
and he fumbled,
and they ripped the ball out of his hands. And I mean, that's just good defense, and that's what good teams do to win football games. Even when they're not playing at their best, they find a way to win a game, and that's what Buffalo did, and that was pretty impressive. But I don't think they're on the level with Pittsburgh, Kansas City, or the Ravens yet.
No shot. No shot.
Now, yeah. Although I will say this, the game against Kansas City, they got screwed by the refs that game. I really thought that.
Oh, here we go.
I don't like the way. I didn't like the way that game went. But all in all, though, I don't think they're as good as those teams. I would agree with you. I think that those are the three teams that you mentioned.
The Colts are in a playoff spot.
Yeah, but they're
Detroit Lions yesterday.
They've been very up and down, though. Now the Giants are going to punt
5-2, but I mean, they're not legitimate Super Bowl contenders. The Browns, they're not legitimate. I thought they might be around week 5 or week 6, but then Nick Chubb got hurt, and Baker Mayfield has to do more.
Yeah, and Beckham got hurt too.
Baker Mayfield's just not that good. He's a bust in terms of his draft position. He's no quarterback.
Losing Beckham is a tough loss too. Let's be honest.
Losing Beckham is a tough loss.
You lose both him and Chubb. I mean, they do have Kareem Hunt, and Kareem Hunt is a terrific running back. But to have Hunt and Chubb as your 1-2 punch is that's nasty. That's nasty because with the two of them.
Who else do you want to talk about? I mean, the Raiders are putting together a decent season. Like, they're not going to the Super Bowl.
No, the Raiders got to show more. I mean, I think right now those are the three teams. You hit the nail right in the head. I mean, I'm right now. I'm thinking, the Ravens should have won that game yesterday. They got the ball back twice in the last minutes of the game. Couldn't convert. The first time I hated 3rd and 5 from the 10-yard line. I hated those two calls. Excuse me, those two calls with Jackson running the ball. I mean, Jackson can throw the ball too. He doesn't have to just run the ball. I mean, you could tell Pittsburgh was waiting for him to run the ball. I mean, what they should have done was try at least one pass. I mean, you got to. I mean, Pittsburgh's got a good defense. You can't keep going to the well on the same play every single time. I mean, Pittsburgh figured it out, and then on the last drive, I mean, he almost made a miracle comeback. I mean, he got the ball all the way down to the 20-yard line, and the last play of the game, they it was a throw in the end zone and they broke it up, but I mean, they came close.
Yeah, and it's a hard-fought game. They're going to play again.
They'll be playing in Pittsburgh.
Eagles should have beat Pittsburgh and the Ravens. Yeah, but they didn't, Robert. They didn't beat them. They got down by too many, and were able to climb back in the game in garbage time. Chrome checks in. Dolphins looked pretty damn good yesterday. Tua didn't put up huge numbers, but he was on the field too much. They were clicking on all cylinders: offense, defense, special teams. Had TDs. They're getting better and better as the season goes on. I mean, yeah, and like that's cute. I mean, Tua's cute. Their team's cute. I like their coach down there. Maybe in a couple of years they can be contenders. They're not contenders this year.
No, but they could be a 500. If they are a 500 team, that's a huge. That with all the young players they have now, that would be huge for that franchise.
And Robert Corden, the Eagles should have beat the Steelers and the Ravens. If you want to be fooled by garbage time production, climbing back in the game, and you want to create this fake narrative.
They should have beaten the Steelers. They were down 31-14 in that game.
I mean,
and then as soon as the Eagles got close, it was 30-28. And then as soon as it was 30-28, Big Ben got the ball and marched right down the field. So how do you figure that? I mean, and as far as the Ravens are concerned, they got it to 30-28, but you know what? When they needed to get the 2-point conversion, they couldn't do it.
Yeah, and Chrome's banging the drum of the Miami Dolphins. Look, they might make a wild card because I think that the AFC, especially when you get into those 6-7 seeds in the AFC, I think it's extremely weak. I don't think the Colts are all that good, and the Browns have just fallen off without Chubb and Odell Beckham. So maybe they can catch lightning in a bottle with Tua and make a playoff push, and they're better than New England. New England falls to 2-5 with the loss to Buffalo. I said I believe I predicted 5-11 for the New England Patriots before the season.
Might be right on the money. I
think they're right on schedule. They're going to have a top 10 pick. It's incredible because everyone wants to laud Bill Belichick as this coaching genius, and he's a very good football coach, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But you can't tell me he's got, 5 Super Bowl rings without Tom Brady? Tom Brady was the straw that stirred that drink, not Bill Belichick, with all due respect. Players make coaches look smart, not the other way around. Players make schemes look smart. Exhibit A is Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Tom Brady has a legitimate chance to win a championship in Tampa. Bill Belichick lost Tom Brady, and he has no chance in New England. So players make coaches look smart. Players make schemes look smart. I've been saying it for years, Brad. So, take that from.
And you look at Tampa Bay now. Bruce Arians has always been a pretty good coach. Okay, would you agree?
Yes.
I've always liked Bruce Arians as a coach, but you know what? He's looking real good now when he's got Brady, doesn't he?
Oh, he looks like the biggest genius in the room.
Exactly. And now
Aaron Boone is a horrible manager. Touching on your Yankees, Aaron Boone is a horrible manager.
I would agree with that. He's terrible. However,
Judge, Stanton, LeMahieu, Luke Voigt, Garrett Cole, Aroldis Chapman. Guess what? They win 100 games every year. Why? Because his players make him look smart.
Yeah, but when he has to manage against other good teams, he gets outmanaged every time.
Look, sports are about athletes doing special things to win football games, break records, gather up tremendous accomplishments. A coach can help. Coach can certainly help. A manager can certainly help. But even the best coach, if they don't have the talent, you're not going nowhere. Ask Bill Belichick. Look at Tom Brady. Ask Bruce Arians. Look at the New York Yankees with Aaron Boone. The proof's in the pudding. So I had a lot of smart sports people tell me that, Tom Brady was washed and they didn't think he was going to do anything in Tampa, and that Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots would somehow find a way to be in the playoffs. I laughed in their face then, and I'm laughing even harder now.
Bill Belichick may be a good coach, but that's
He
not
is a good coach.
He is a good coach, but it's not going to save the Patriots this year. The Patriots just aren't good enough. Their offense just doesn't work without Tom Brady.
Getting to the NFC, I really only see 3 teams that can represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, Brad. The Seattle Seahawks is obvious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they beat up on a total. I mean, everyone wants to cry about the Eagles injuries. I bet you San Francisco 49ers fans would love to compare injury reports with the Philadelphia Eagles because they've been a disaster all season in terms of injuries.
That team just can't buy a break this year.
Nick Bosa tore his ACL. Now George Kittle broke his foot. Jimmy G's
out again.
So I mean, Seattle, they're overwhelming favorites. There goes Tom Brady going deep. That's a good play by number 24 there. Is that Bradbury?
I believe it is, yes.
Trying to go deep to Mike Evans. A good play by Bradbury. Seattle's the best team in the NFC. They're the overwhelming favorites to win the NFC and play the Kansas City Chiefs, who I think are the the favorites in the AFC.
Boy, that's a good play by Bradbury. See, the last second, he saw the ball out of the corner of his eye and knocked it away and didn't commit the pass interference.
Giants are playing. The Giants are playing.
The Giants came to play tonight.
Big second down or about midfield there. But, I mean, Seattle, they have Russell Wilson, who's probably the MVP of the league right now. DK Metcalf is awesome. Brady's off. I don't know if it's the weather or the wind, but he's missing – he's missed a few relatively easy throws that he normally makes.
I think it's probably the wind. Because that wind is brutal tonight.
But, I mean, the Seattle, they have Lockett. They have DK Metcalf, who's just on another planet.
Metcalf is unbelievable.
He's unbelievable. Chris Carson's a good running back, and I think they have just enough defense to win a championship.
They do. They'll give I think they'll get to I think they're right now. They're the overwhelming favorite in the NFC until otherwise proven. And now the Giants come up with a sack.
I believe that's Leonard Williams.
Leonard Williams. Again, I think that's number 4 on the season for him. He's actually making Gettleman look good with that pickup because he's actually been pretty good this year for them. Well, look at this. He's like a bowling ball, Rob. He got past 3 guys to make this.
I don't know who number 76 is, but
number 76. He went around him like a hoop around a barrel. Again, Tampa Bay is punting.
And then Tampa Bay, I think they're legitimate contenders to reach.
Absolutely.
I really do. And then my third team.
Oh, he just barely got that one away.
I don't know where the return guy was.
Well, he got it back after
Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is a legitimate contender to reach the Super Bowl. Interesting enough, the Super Bowl is being played in Tampa.
Yep, and that's going to be interesting. I mean, look, right now, Tampa Bay and Seattle are the favorites. I'm going to throw New Orleans in there because I was really impressed at the way they were able to come back on the road and knock off the Bears. I mean, that was a good win for them yesterday.
Something is missing there. Now, we'll see how they play if they can ever get this Michael Thomas thing figured out, but I don't have them as – I think Drew Brees has taken a significant step back. I don't think he even was last year.
He is arguably one of the best running backs in the NFL right now.
Alvin Kamara or Derrick Henry, take your pick at who the gold standard of running backs are in today's NFL. It's one of the two.
Well, Kamara is a better receiver. That I think is he's an unbelievable receiver. I mean, he's almost impossible to stop.
But I do not have my third team in the NFC that I see as contenders, a chance to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And this is probably one that's going to get me in trouble as knee-jerk Brinkman. It's the Arizona Cardinals. I love what they're doing. I love their defense. I love Kyler Murray. I love that they surrounded Kyler Murray with DeAndre Hopkins. I think that win over Seattle on Sunday Night Football, I think that's a huge, huge.
I think you're right. It definitely galvanized that team.
I mean, that's a win you can ride for a couple weeks. Now, it's a shame that they had a bye week this week, so they weren't able to get right back on the field after such a win. They got to sit on it for a week. But I see this team getting better as the season goes on. I think they're better than the Rams. I think they're better than the Niners. I don't think they're as good as Seattle, but they do have a win at hand over Seattle. So they very well could win the division if Seattle were to stumble a couple of times. So Seahawks, Cardinals, Tampa Bay. I reserve the right to throw New Orleans in that mix if they can get Michael Thomas on the field and past whatever is going on there, because something's fishy with that situation in terms of the fight, the injuries, the hamstring injury. I don't know what's going on there. But I think you hit it on the head at the top of the show. I think cooler heads will probably prevail there, and they'll get on the right track. And that obviously
they'll kiss and throw up by the end of the season, and then Thomas will be playing in the playoffs, and you know what? And they're going to be a very, very dangerous team again.
But I mean, two teams that I was not impressed with yesterday, the Green Bay Packers. I think the Green Bay Packers are frauds, Brad. I think finally. First off, I'm happy that Howie Roseman isn't the worst GM in the NFL, which is hard for me to believe. I come on here and I crush Howie Roseman each and every week. But for the Green Bay Packers to have Aaron Rodgers, a top 10 quarterback of all time, and they have not spent a first-round draft selection on a skill position player in the Aaron Rodgers era, Brad.
Yeah, but you know what? Devontae Adams is pretty damn good, though.
He is. He's second-round pick, though, and they would find Aaron Jones in the third round. I'm just saying. They're short playmakers for Aaron Rodgers. Would you agree? Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would. I don't know the Green Bay's defense is good enough either.
And, they lose Blake Martinez. I mean, look at their draft last year. They trade up in the first round to draft the backup quarterback. At least the Eagles didn't trade up for Jalen Hurts. And then
that I still don't really understand, but whatever,
And they take in the second round, they take a running back out of Boston College and A.J. Dillon, who's third on the depth chart in terms of running back. You have Aaron Jones, who's really good, and Jamal Williams is extremely serviceable backup. Would probably start on a lot of teams. And not to mention, I don't think A.J. Dillon was very good. He's out of Boston College. The ACC, excuse me. A lot of pundits and draft experts had a third, fourth, even fifth round grade on A.J. Dillon. So
also, when you consider all the good receivers this year that came out of college football, and there were enough good receivers that you had some quality even in the second round. I mean, it's kind of a little puzzling that they didn't grab another receiver for another toy for Aaron Rodgers, because he kind of does need another toy.
Maybe they can make something happen before tomorrow's trade deadline. I don't know. And then, they lose their starting middle linebacker, Blake Martinez. He's having a pretty good season for the Giants. He's not.
So is Kyle Fackrell.
He comes over from the Packers
as well, and he's been pretty solid. Giants are driving again now, Rob. And I'll tell you what, if they can somehow run the clock all the way down before either kicking the field goal or getting the touchdown, and if they could ever get into the locker room with a 14-3 lead, how shocking would that be?
We'll see if they can close the deal here. You need another touchdown here. Need a touchdown here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're being smart about it. They're running the football, and they're now they'll get it down to 2 minutes. And as I said, Rob, if they can get themselves a field goal and not allow Tampa Bay to get the ball back, or get the ball back in a position where they're not going to score, the Giants do get the second half kickoff. We'll see. I mean, if they can take advantage of this, Well, you see Tampa Bay kind of shaking their head, and right now the Giants. I don't know if maybe they see JPP on the other side of the field, but their offense seems to be playing well, and the defense so far has been outstanding.
Tommy Arnone, easy money tonight with the Giants. The Steelers are the top team in the AFC. I understand the Chiefs are a great team and Mahomes is phenomenal, but I just don't see them winning 2 straight Super Bowls. Steelers having a comeback season. That's from Steelers Fan 1 checking in on YouTube. Look, the Steelers.
Fair comment.
Big Ben is playing phenomenal. James Conner is running the ball extremely well. They have great receivers. They have a great defense. I'm sorry, I still have to consider the Chiefs the favorite in the AFC, as most of Week 8 is in the books.
Listen, until further notice, the Chiefs are still the Super Bowl champions, and they're still the team to beat.
I know they had a little slip up to the Raiders, but I mean,
they're also their biggest rival.
And Patrick Mahomes he's just locked in. He's just locked in. He's got all these toys. He's got Hardman. He's got Bell. He's got Edwards-Helaire. He's got Travis Kelce. He's got Mecole Hardman. Sammy Watkins isn't even healthy right now. He gets.
I forgot about him. I mean, it's almost Le'Veon Bell too. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches. You know who happens is Antonio Brown playing tonight?
No, he cannot play until next week.
I was going to say because he's been awfully quiet. That's why he's been quiet.
He's not. From what I understand, he's not officially reinstated yet. He'll be reinstated tomorrow officially, and he signed on Friday, so he has to quarantine himself for 10 days before he can join Tampa Bay. So he can play next week.
Gotcha.
They might have a bye next week, so the week after. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at the schedule. But yeah, and then the Rams, getting to these NFC teams, the Rams are frauds. Jared Goff stinks. Absolutely.
What a disappointing loss for them.
Absolutely stinks.
Going to Miami, and I get it, playing an AFC team on the road, in a game that you think is going to be a snooze fest, and you slip up. I get it, but you know what? That's no excuse. You still got to beat the Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins.
Okay, the Rams have 5 wins on the season? 4 of them are against the NFC East.
That's right.
Behind that, I'd be shocked if they even made the playoffs in a very difficult NFC.
Boy, Daniel Jones is very lucky that ball didn't come back all the way. I mean, he basically threw that ball right into number 58's hands.
So I see 6 legitimate Super Bowl contenders. I see Tampa Bay. I see Seattle. I see Arizona in the NFC. I get Arizona. Maybe I'm trying to project a little bit with the Cardinals. I think they're poised for a great second half after that monster win, that classic win against the Seattle Seahawks.
So they're a good team. Let's not. The Giants just missed getting a touchdown, but I guess what is it? First and goal on the foot line.
First and goal, 1 foot to go.
Yeah, Evan Ingram. Let's not get too carried away with wagging that finger, okay? Because you dropped one last week that cost us the game. So
I think he's out at the 4-yard line. It looked like he kind of stepped out. Right? No, he's in.
No, he was in.
He's in. I'm mistaken.
And the Giants had a 13-3 lead. How do you like that? As Wayne Gallman crashes in for the touchdown.
Taking their claim, and the Giants, they've been pesky against some of these good teams, like you've pointed out at the top of the show.
Nobody's
a bad team, but they're not an easy out.
No, they're pests. I mean, they haven't learned how to win a game yet. That's the problem. Now, I mean, I'm not going to complain because they got a touchdown, but they gave New England a lot of time. They gave Tampa Bay a lot of time, but Wayne Gallman's done a nice job tonight. Albert Morris, the 8-year veteran, has done a nice job tonight, and of course Deion Lewis with a nice catch. And the Giants are an extra point away from having a 14-3 lead, and indeed the kick is good, and it is now 14-3 Giants, and I'm shocked at what I'm seeing right now. I mean, where has this been? Where has this been all season?
Well, they have to come out in the second half, and they have to. First off, a stop here before the 2-minute warning is even if Tampa Bay is able to go in 14-6 at half.
I take that, and then we get the ball back to start the second half.
Right, but my point being, Giants make a stop here. Don't let Tampa get any points here, gain any momentum going into.
But you got to keep him. You got to keep him out of. You got to keep him out of the end zone. I mean,
just keep him off the scoreboard.
Easier said than done.
I understand that, but
they've done a real good job. Listen, you and I both didn't think that the Giants would be giving up 3 points against this team. That's for sure.
No, Brady's been out of sorts. This offense has been out of sorts. But I mean, it doesn't take much for Brady to get going, and we saw how mad he was on the sidelines after that drive, slamming his helmet on the ground. So I think Arians and Brady are going to make adjustments at halftime, and I still fully expect Tampa Bay to win this game, but obviously Tampa Bay covering the monster number is virtually out of the question.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll tell you what. The over/under, that ain't going to happen. They're not going to score over 47 points.
No, probably not. No.
All
right, we got a few minutes left here,
I want to get to a little baseball because
because free agency officially open.
Kevin Cash, the moron, who cost his team a World Series,
baffling
retardation, taking Blake Snell out after 70.
Couldn't believe it, Brad.
And the excuse was he didn't want his guy. He didn't want Blake Snell to face those guys 3 times. Let me tell you something. Those guys could have faced Blake Snell 20 times the way he was pitching. It would have been strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. I mean, for God's sakes, even Aaron Boone isn't that stupid. How do you take a pitcher, your ace pitcher, out of a Game 6 situation with your life on the line? How do you take him out and put in Anderson?
Brett, he's got virtually a no-hitter going.
He struck out, 10 guys in 5 innings?
I think it was Will Smith, a borderline backup player, gets a single, and you hook him after 78 pitches, I think it was?
73.
73, excuse me?
I mean, the guy was just getting warmed up.
And it's Game 6 of the World Series. He's not pitching again.
No. I mean, what do you do?
Look, if he goes out there and pitches 3 innings and he doesn't have it and he gives up some runs, maybe you take him out, you put the bullpen in, maybe you give him a chance to redeem himself in relief.
Or if he's having to do the circus act every inning, because every inning they're putting guys on base and he's wiggling his way out of it, that I understand. But you know what? This guy was rolling along and he was making
the top 10 pitcher in the league, Brad.
Yeah, and he was making it look easy. He's also a former Cy Young Award winner. And could you imagine if somebody did that to Bob? If Cash did that to Bob Gibson or to Juan Marichal? As a matter of fact, I can remember. Joe Torre told the story about Mike Mussina one time. Was pitching. I think he was pitching like a 1-hitter, and Torre came out in the 6th inning, and Mussina just told him to get back to the dugout. Get back in the dugout. And you know what Torre did? He went back to the dugout.
And how did that end up for Mike Mussina?
He won the game.
There you go.
He won the game, and he pitched, I think, 7 or 8 innings that game. But that was Torre's story, so I can't. I don't remember the incident. He was
hired. Joe Torre was hired by the New York Yankees 25 years ago today, Brad.
Really? Today was the day, huh?
Today was the day. Launched a dynasty.
Wow, how about that?
And then my thing with baseball is MLB free agency is officially open. Rob Manfred is such a poor leader. I mean, how can you open MLB free agency without clear-cut rules on how 2021 is going to work? How can you expect National League teams like the Phillies or the Braves, the Mets are probably going to spend some money with new ownership. They don't know if they're going to have a DH or not. Like, how can you open free agency and allow teams to sign? players without clear-cut decisions on how rosters should be constructed. It's ridiculous. He's really one of the we've seen some bad commissioners, some bad leadership.
This guy is by far the worst. He's
worst. Awful. He's awful.
How do you let Hinch be a manager again? So Hinch, who's cheating, who gets caught cheating to the point where it's an embarrassment to baseball, he's allowed to come back and manage again, but Pete Rose can't be a part of baseball at all because he gambled. Well, let me tell you something. Cheating is cheating. Okay, and what A.J. Hinch did was an embarrassment to baseball, a black eye for baseball, and he basically a 1-year ban? 1 year? And now he's going to be back with the Tigers? I mean, are you kidding me?
And then, the Phillies, they're a mess. Their president of baseball operations, Andy McPhail, he thinks it's going to be near impossible for the Philadelphia Phillies to find a GM because of coronavirus and the pandemic, which is total nonsense. Look at how many teams just hired managers. Look at how many teams across sports. I mean, the Sixers, look at across the street with the Sixers. They have a new coach. They have a new VP of basketball operations in Daryl Morey. They extended Elton Brand. They're getting shit done. And the Phillies want to hide behind the pandemic, not to give JT Realmuto a big-time contract. They do extend a qualifying offer to him, $18.9 million. So when he probably ultimately signs elsewhere, at least the Phillies will get a draft pick. I was surprised they didn't do the same with Didi Gregorius. I would take Didi Gregorius at 1 year for $18.9 million.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised the Phillies didn't do that either. I mean,
Didi Gregorius, he's going to go back to the Yankees.
I don't know about that.
No?
Are they going to trade? Who are the Yankees going to trade if they do that? Are they going to trade Urshela or Voit?
I guess you can't do that.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Glaber, you're going to have to.
And I don't see how the Giants the Yankees can justify not re-signing DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah, well, the problem is if you want to bring back Gregorius, are you going to get rid of the batting champion or the home run champion to bring him in?
It must be a nice problem to have because the Phillies have so many holes, it's ridiculous, and they want to hide by the coronavirus pandemic and not even hire a GM from the outside.
If you saw the way Gio Urshela played third base last year, you're not moving.
We're watching enough Yankees baseball to know Gio Urshela is the real deal. I thought he was a flash in the pan because I never heard of him before, but he's the real deal.
He did it 2 years. Listen, if you do it 2 years in a row, you're the real deal. Okay, it's that simple.
Completely agree. I completely agree.
And now the Giants are able to stop Tampa Bay.
Looks like the Giants are going to get a field goal. Looks like I don't understand it.
Are they going to go for it on fourth down? Or are they going to go find out?
Take 14-6.
They'll make it 14-6. As I said, as long as the Giants didn't give up a touchdown, because I think holding them to no points is asking. That's asking a lot. I mean, remember, these are the Giants, and they are 1-6, and there's a reason why they're 1-6. But hey, congratulations to keep Tom Brady out of the end zone for a half. That is good defensive football. And we'll see, if the Giants can ever take the second half kickoff and end up in the end zone and make it 21-6. Game on.
All right, so we're gonna log off. Been a great episode of the Sports Hounds. Thank you to everyone who listened, liked, shared, commented on our show. Thank you to Frank Vesby for producing the show. Tomorrow is Election Day, folks. We are not a political show, but go vote. Your voice matters. Your voice matters, especially if you're in Pennsylvania, where I am, because it looks like the whole damn election is going to come down to Pennsylvania if you listen to these political correspondents. So if you want your voice heard, just vote. It's your civic duty to go out and vote. Change happens one vote at a time. Don't go out and not vote and then complain about politics for the next 4 years. Go out and vote. Anyway, thank you to our great sponsors, Ambuck Services, Gutter and Roof Guys, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy. Thank you to Philly Drinkers, our merchandise. Check out phillydrinkers.com for all your A2D merchandise needs. Just click on the A2D collection. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Until next Monday, peace out, everybody.